Hello.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Let me turn you up a little because you're a bit quiet for me.
Okay.
I always have people are very quiet. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really excited to have a quick chat with you.
Totally.
Yeah. So, first of all, do you mind just introducing yourself in case anyone, for some reason, that's listening doesn't know who you are?
Yeah, sure. My name's Josh Greenfield, aka Aggrend, and I have worked at Blizzard for 14 years. Today's actually my 14th year Blizzversity.
Really?
Versary. Yeah,
That's
today's
awesome.
today's the day I got hired.
Congratulations.
Um, yeah, and I've been on the WoW Classic team for about 5 years now. I'm a senior producer. Yeah, I touch kind of everything related to Classic, our Wrath, any seasonal things we do, hardcore. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today. Um, as you know, I've been part of the hardcore community since before it was officially sanctioned by Blizzard, and we've been enjoying the new servers for the last 2 months since they've been released. I was just curious about some feelings that the dev team might have about things. How do you feel like the servers were received by the community?
Yeah. Honestly, the entire team continues to be pretty blown away by the reception. We were very pleasantly surprised. I mean, it's not even really surprise either. I think most of the team sort of expected hardcore to be popular because we were fairly tuned in and involved with the community. We'd been playing it on unofficial, on Bloodsail ourselves quite a bit. And we understood the draw and the passion that the folks who were into it felt, but it's definitely exceeded even kind of our very optimistic expectations, just in terms of how many new people have kind of come in to the ecosystem, which has been really, really cool.
Yeah, the amount of people who'd never heard of the community based version of hardcore who are playing currently and have even hit 60 was like a big shock to me when I just talked to random people or when people join my stream and ask like, "Oh, have you been doing this or have you ever hit 60 before?" It's like a couple times.
A
Would you say
couple,
there
yeah.
is anything about this experience that shocked the dev team at all?
Yeah, shocked, probably not. Like calling back to kind of the last answer, it's not really just how popular it is. It's really just how popular it is to players who are either brand new to WoW or haven't played WoW in a very long time. And that continues to be really the most, I guess, shocking thing. It's not even shocking, really. It's just like, huh, neat.
One thing that I noticed, and I don't know if you've experienced it all, but we've collected a small handful of old school RuneScape hardcore players, which I think
Yep.
is really cool. And they're like, "Wow, this version of a different hardcore game is very interesting because I have a lot more buttons to press, a lot more things to do." As well as Path of Exile hardcore, and of course the
Yeah.
Diablo hardcore crossover. I've noticed as well.
Hmm.
So that's neat. It attracts a different mindset of players sometimes, not just the classic WoW enjoyer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, the funny thing about hardcore is it's all about game knowledge, right? Like that's really the most important sort of skill to perform well in it. And it's so fun to sort of watch brand new people, find things that are like, oh, this is actually super deadly. I didn't even know. Like, oh, I've come to really, really fear and respect caves. So it's neat. It's fun.
There's things even as the seasoned player that I think I know everything about the game. And for example, I
Yeah.
was in Alterac rather recently, and because I was in proximity to another player, I actually got sheeped, and I didn't know that they could sheep
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't
Yeah.
even know that was possible, and I've been playing this version of the game for a really long time. So
Yeah, a lot of creatures with CCs and stuff won't do the CC if you're only fighting one target, but if somebody else wanders by and ends up on the threat table,
yeah,
yeah, it can happen.
it's
Yeah,
it's
catches people
it's a
out.
different for like because it's not solo self found required, right? This
Yeah,
version is
right.
so much more social. We're learning things we didn't know from the days of the solo self found challenge. So,
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
have you personally or anybody on the team kept up with the economy of the official hardcore? I had talked with the people, Tim, I believe,
Mhm.
about this, how they thought maybe the economy might be different on official hardcore versus like a normal classic server. Did you guys notice anything at all about it?
I A little bit. It's an interesting kind of phenomenon because I don't think there's huge differences. The things I think I'm pleased with looking at it is things like Black Lotus hovering in like the 10 to 15 gold range, and stuff like Edge Masters anywhere from a few hundred to several hundred gold at this point, with how kind of the knowledge everyone has. Like, I think that's an interesting telling thing. I think mostly it's overall followed the curve we'd expect from a new server with kind of a closed ecosystem or economy. And I think over time things will inflate a little bit. That's sort of just kind of how MMOs
Sure.
work. But I think in a world where when you die, you take a portion of your wealth with you, even if you're using bank halts. Some of us aren't sending stuff off every 2 minutes,
Oh,
right?
I'm
So
surely not.
there's yeah, there's gonna be a portion of your wealth that basically just evaporates and gets removed from the economy when people die. So I think that's helping to keep things pretty nominal right now, which is good.
Another thing about that as well is because that there's no battlegrounds, there's really not twinking your characters per
Yeah,
se. You can
yeah,
twink your alt to kind of be stronger, right? Buy yourself that blue dagger and get fiery on it or whatever. But
sure.
you're not keeping that character at that level, so people aren't farming gold to buy this item because it'll never disappear. There's no guarantees. It
Yeah,
is
and there's no
cool.
guarantees that doing that will save that character either. I've seen
Exactly.
I've seen more than a few dead people laying on the ground with fiery on their
Yeah,
weapons. So
it
it's
does
like,
create a self sense of
yeah,
confidence in its own
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Um, in the beginning, there was a lot of people leveling, but it felt like we were getting epics left and right and blue items. There's tons of speculation behind this, and I don't know if you can reveal anything, but is it just a placebo that we felt like there was so much more blues and epics dropping in the world, or or is it just was there some sort of tweaking that maybe happened?
No, I don't think there was any changes here. I will say that because we're on the final patch, like the final phase of content, there are definitely adjustments to drop rates of things in dungeons. Some things move to different locations, and some things have a higher drop rate. I'm not 100% certain, but I don't think there's any tweaks to the world drop tables at the in the outdoor world with that kind of in the final phases. I think really what it is that there's just a lot of people on these realms. Like, I think if you think about, basically that naturally creates more supply on certain things, and kind of due to the nature of hardcore, like what we're talking about, when characters die, a certain amount of resources kind of get removed from the economy. When that happens, it's like it keeps prices lower, it keeps demand lower on certain things. So you end up seeing five edge masters on the auction house, or a bunch of assassination blades or whatever. And I think it might contribute to a little bit of that sort of sense of that there's just plenty, there's a lot more going around, but it's probably the same amount. There's just a lot of people. Also, when you look at the auction house, you're not just seeing your own. I mean, you're basically seeing like several servers worth of auction house because of how sort of large the realms are. So I think that maybe contributes to it.
Yeah, and for example, there's certain rares that drop blues and whatnot, and if people
Hmm.
can just kind of bounce around and farm those,
Yeah,
or they're like the only person that's on that layer, then you're gonna see more of those
yeah,
items. That's for sure. There's a lot
especially at
of
high levels. Yeah.
oh, for sure, yeah. There was some really funny speculations where they're like, "Oh, they turned up the drop rate for just the first 2 weeks," and it was just funny to listen to people. And part of me wanted to just remind people that we haven't seen blues as commonly because we hadn't been running as much content as commonly, right? Like
Yeah,
people weren't
yeah,
doing 5-man dungeons every day multiple times because on the community version we were only allowed to do them one time total if you chose to do them, if you could find people to do them, right?
yeah.
So it's a different experience.
Yeah, every dungeon also has a host of BOE blues that's just part of the dungeon loot. So again, well, like what that just sort of supports what you're saying, right? More people
Right.
running dungeons, more blues.
More pickings.
Hmm.
So it seems as a joke, dead game. Every time that we portal to Stormwind to drop the Ani head to give buffs to the server and for our raids, there's multiple layers with hundreds of people on them. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just obviously a success. There's a lot of people playing, a lot of people enjoying. The servers seem to be full. I know EU had a queue for a while. I
Mhm.
don't know if they still do on their primary server. I think it's Stitches.
Mhm.
Um, we have multiple layers on each one. Is there like a future for maybe new hardcore servers or fresh hardcore servers or other eras like Wrath hardcore or TBC hardcore or however the game is progressing?
In terms of other, I'll tackle this in two parts. In terms of other eras, the answer is maybe. It just kind of depends on what the demand looks like. If obviously hardcore kind of came about because there was a community movement, right? Like everyone started playing this, everyone had a lot of fun with it, and it really became something that we couldn't help but notice. And I think that would be true with sort of any kind of emergent, a gameplay style or game mode or anything like that players sort of get really engaged with. But in terms of plans, not really. It's mostly just we kind of play this stuff by ear a little bit. Um, in terms of more hardcore servers, one of the things we really wanted to try and do with hardcore, and I understand layers can be divisive. I think in a perfect world we wouldn't have layers, right? Like I don't think when Classic originally launched in 2019, we wanted them to be a temporary thing, but just obviously due to the size and everything of a lot of realms, that wasn't possible. But one of the things that we did want to do for hardcore is try and keep the number of realms as low as possible because we don't want the situation that pops up sometimes where there's like the good server, everyone
Yeah,
picks whatever they think the good server is, and every other server's kind of like dead, and it's
guys.
like it's but that's the thing is like a lot of times the other servers don't die. It's like I've been on a mid pop Wrath realm since 2019 classic, and it's bumping. It feels like a full 2009 2010
I play
realm,
on
and
Atish, which I believe is considered
yeah,
mid pop. So yeah,
it,
I
same
understand.
actually,
Oh,
same
cool.
actually, yes, yeah,
I need
and
into your guild runs then. Thank you.
yeah. So like, there's the whole intent was to basically have as few servers as possible. And another thing we introduced for hardcore, it wasn't specifically for hardcore, it was part of the 1.14.4 patch, was some technology that actually allows us to hold dramatically more people on a single realm. It's about 2 to 3 times what a realm could handle when we launched Wrath a year ago. So we wanted to kind of exercise that, and we wanted to see how it goes, and I think it really helps make it feel very, very active and very, very full, with the unfortunate kind of reality that layers are kind of how you have to manage that so you don't make any one area too unstable.
As feedback to that, because I am not a layer hater. I'm fine with it. There being multiple layers is nice on the experience of the person who is kind of like used to less people. I'm
Mm-hmm.
imagining a world where the 8,000 level ones are all in Elwyn together and you just
Yeah.
can't tag anything.
Yep.
And at first, even with multiple layers, it's very like intense like that. Like
Yeah.
getting a tag was a bit difficult, but now, well, more so, especially moving into like the mid levels and stuff, you're still seeing people, but you're not overwhelmed by the population. I think having those layers allows that. Otherwise, you
Yeah.
would just be kind of in the same boat where you just have
Yeah.
so much people. So
Especially due to the nature of hardcore, where it's always going to slant towards the first 20 to 30 levels, right? Like people are going to die, they're going to start over, they're going to be mostly kind of putzing around the low levels. Yeah, that was a concern we had too. We wanted to make sure that it wasn't 3, 4, 6 months in, it didn't feel like you still can't get a tag on anything.
right.
I think that was something we kind of noticed from Blood Cell, right? Is like when it really started to get super popular, it was almost like people who'd been playing for a while were like, geez, I can't get my alt level because there's just so many people, like
Yeah,
so
it was
yeah.
a lot for sure. The second part to that question was, is there ever a chance of different eras of hardcore?
Yeah, I kind of, I sort of, I think, alluded to an answer there. It's mostly just we kind of have to wait and see what you know. Tell us what you want here, right?
Sure,
Like
sure.
this is the kind of thing that it's like we don't really see a huge demand for other eras right now, but it definitely is something we can look into if it looks like there's a larger demand for it.
I think
I
I'm
will
just. Sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I think I'm just dreaming of a world where there's official hardcore servers and then Deathwing just kills you. But that's just like a pure speculation. It
Yeah,
comes from a
yeah,
popcorn kind of POV, right? So
yeah,
you
for
can
sure.
continue
Yeah,
though. I apologize.
no, it's okay. I do think though that, and this is like I guess kind of venturing into personal opinion territory, that I think the further along the sort of WoW timeline you go, the less sort of impactful the leveling journey kind of becomes. There's a lot of catch-up gear. Like right now in Wrath, there's random dungeon finder, and you can get a blue piece of gear basically every at the end of every instance and stuff. And that's just I think it definitely gets, I don't want to say necessarily easier. It's still long and there's a lot of things that can go wrong, but it's just a different experience. I think original WoW is sort of lightning in a bottle for this, that it's like the perfect environment where, I talk a lot to the team about how original WoW is essentially just kind of easy content that and the skill cap is how you over prepare for it, right?
Right.
And uh, original WoW is definitely that place where that over preparation and game knowledge, combined with actually kind of the chill nature of leveling in vanilla. It's slow, but it's chill. I think it just works, right? But again, it's we've watched hardcore guilds. I watched the Kel'Thuzad kill in Naxxramas, a couple months ago, that a hardcore guild on Wrath got. And it just depends on kind of where the wind takes kind of the community on this.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being open to feedback because I know people have strong feelings, and I know that WoW players, especially, it can be very noisy at times. So, um, all right. Have you or any other of the classic devs played on official at all? Are you
Yeah,
are you in our
absolutely.
midst somewhere? I know
Uh,
I actually
yeah,
talked to
yeah.
Nora about it a little
Yep.
bit, but
Yeah, Nora hit 52 and then died, unfortunately, the other day. I think Nora is probably the highest level of anyone on the team for sure. All of us are playing it to some degree. I have like a 25 priest on Defias Pillager, and I have a incognito hunter on Skull Rock. I'm not, my name isn't recognizable there and stuff. That I've been working on. It's only like, I think it's 29 or something like that.
cool.
So I kind of have alcoholicness, and I also really only play. I
Yeah,
really only play like on the weekends. Like that's kind of how I always did that. I did that on Bloodsail too. That I was kind of a weekend warrior, if you know what I mean. Like
sure.
it's just it's I that's just kind of how I like to do it. It's like a decompression almost, which is
Sure.
funny because it's hardcore. Anyone who doesn't play hardcore would be like, how do you decompress playing hardcore? It's like you actually can. It's pretty chill. And that's kind of how I approach it. So it's going to take me forever to get up there. But yeah, a lot of people on the team are
It's
playing.
the journey, right? Not the
Yeah, it is
destination.
the journey. That
So
is it.
awesome. Um, all right. Well, I just want to know, is there any last words you want to send to the community? I am going to be obviously putting this on YouTube and sharing it with the Classic Hardcore Discord, which I believe is now up to 120,000 people in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I think so. It's really funny that whenever kind of we first started talking about official hardcore, several members of the team brought kind of some data that we put together on like the direction we thought hardcore was going. This was in like January or February of this year, and I think at the time the hardcore Discord had 12,000 people in it.
Yeah,
And that's the thing, kind of going back to like what shocked us, I guess, is sort of the way that it grew. The leadership team on WoW was very excited about it. They're like, yeah, this sounds cool, this sounds like a fun thing. But I think we all kind of expected like, oh yeah, some people will play this for a little while, and maybe it'll just, every now and then there'll be a challenge that pops up and it hits some popularity. But then by I think March or April, we just saw, the hardcore Discord went up to 50, 60, 70, 80, 90,000 people. And it was just like, oh, okay, this is going to be a big deal. So I don't know. It's just been wild. It's been wild to watch. And, obviously the classic team has been really kind of big fans of this for a long time because of what we did in Season of Mastery. We put in the Soul of Iron thing there, and it's really cool to kind of see it culminate. This is like, I feel like it's something that everyone in the community has sort of worked towards for years at this point, and kind of getting there and being able to have official servers is just super special to us, and we're super appreciative of everyone for kind of participating and spreading the word and having fun with it.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate the time that you took to chat with us and answer some
Absolutely.
questions. I hope that maybe in a couple months or whatever we can check up again and just kind of see maybe if
Sure.
there's any changes. Or I know there was like some like rumors of like potentially solo self-found stuff. I don't want to poke into
Yeah.
questions that I don't have prepared, but I want to
Sure.
say thank you for the time, and
Totally.
I really appreciate this game mode being here.
Yep.
Obviously it's my livelihood, and also just that the devs and the Blizzard community, or the people that work at Blizzard have been so open to just feedback and communication. It's really cool. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Awesome. Yeah. Super thrilled to be here. Super thrilled to talk about it. We love, almost all of us love talking about WoW. That's we live and breathe it. So it's always a good time.
Well, happy anniversary again. Thank you for your time, Aggrend.
All right. Thanks.
Talk to you
All right.
soon. Bye.
Bye.
All right, that was super chill. I didn't get to ask a lot of like I didn't get to ask like a lot of like really like pokey questions because I had this interview set up over a month ago, but I think it went really good. What do you guys think? It was chill. I like Aggrend. He's so nice. I don't know if he actually streams for real, but he does have a... I think that's him.